Okay, it's 5 past, so I think we can start. We've got almost 60 people on the call. Welcome, everyone. So today we the resumption of a series of community calls that we haven't had, and we haven't had one like this in a wee while, um, because we've had so many calls specific to V1. But I'm very excited to be back to this schedule with an assortment of updates from the core team and the community. We have, let's see, we have an update on PocketJS, a new version of PocketJS that has had some pretty significant implications. So we'll go over that first. Then we'll have updates from two pooling solutions that you may have heard of, ThunderPOKT and PocketPool. Followed by an update from DAppNode, who have a new Pocket package in the works. I'm pretty sure it's releasing very soon. And their proposal to get funding from the DAO just passed as of today, so that's really appropriate timing there for an update from them. We'll have an update from Node Pilot as well, a similar node deployment solution I'm sure you've all heard of. They will have an update on the core Node Pilot offering, but then also a tool that they've been building called POKT Lint, which they'll present. And then lastly, we'll have an update from a tool called PoktBot, which currently has a proposal that's being voted on right now by the DAO. So welcome everyone. Really excited to go through this agenda. Before we get started, I just want to say, have a call out for the call for submissions for InfraCon. I'm posting it in the link in the new community call QA channel. You'll see that there. If you have any presentations, anything you want to present at InfraCon in May, please use this form to submit your idea. That could be a presentation just by you. It could be a panel discussion that you want to organize, or it could be a workshop. So please use that form. And the other thing to say is, you may notice we're using a different voice channel for this call. We're trying out a different format here in order to enable us to have some screen sharing and video as necessary. So if you don't have the special speaker role, you will find yourself muted. We are going to be using the community call QA channel to ask questions, and you can, in place of pressing the raise hand button like you would in the stage, just send a message to this channel if you want to speak and ask a question that way. We'll do a little bit of QA at the end of each presentation. Also, we will be looking to do ecosystem updates like this more regularly as well. So if you do have anything that you want to show and tell to the community, please just DM me and we can get that arranged. So with all that out of the way, I think we can get started with an update on PocketJS. Enrique, you should be able to unmute yourself and get started.
Yep, perfect. Awesome. So, yeah, hello everyone. Happy to be here. And I'm here to talk about PocketJS and mainly what's the future of it. So, I'm just going to start sharing my screen soon, and hopefully you'll be able to see it. All right. I see that is probably working well.
Looks like it.
Amazing. Awesome. Can you see that?
You're all good.
Awesome. Perfect. So basically, guys, when we talk about PocketJS, we're talking about the client that everyone in the community uses to talk to the chain. It's either that, or you run your own node and you query it with the actual JSON RPC body that you need to get all your data. Of course, a lot of people just want to use PocketJS, right? It has convenience methods to get, let's say, a block, to get transactions, to get whatever. If you were integrating directly with the network, you will also use PocketJS to send a relay. And for sending transactions, for sweeping, whatever, basically, no matter if you're a developer, a node runner, or just a curious user that wants to inspect the chain, you will use PocketJS for everything. And so for this, we've been working on a new client that's more lightweight, just a little bit simpler to use, so that we have better ergonomics when interacting with the chain. So today, I'm just going to give you a very light presentation of what it is and how we've improved the DX. So without further ado, let's do it. So first of all, why we do it, why we write what's working, right? Why do we want to, just take it a step further? Basically, first of all, we wanted to repurpose the SDK to make it easier to maintain as a community-facing product. What does it mean? What this basically means is that we also wanted to make it easy for people to contribute to it, right? If you want to send a PR, you should be able to do so with cleaner code and also just some good guidelines on how to do so. We also just wanted to make it a little bit more bare bones when it comes to the very critical functions of dispatching and relaying, right? So users, including us, right, the actual Pocket team, so we can track down errors in an easier manner, right? Instead of hand-holding the users through a lot of things manually, right? We also just wanted to improve the developer experience a lot because, especially as our community was growing, we started getting questions as in how do you use this, or why does this constructor looks a little bit weird, right? We saw there were some low-hanging fruits that we could take advantage of and just improve the DX a lot. So we wanted to do so. Also, we wanted to make it extensible because if people want to introduce checks or just introduce retries and whatnot, they should be able to do so as well. And on top of all, with the protobuf migration that occurred quite a few months ago already in Pocket Core, you can also write the implementation in different languages, right? That means that it'll be really useful if we had a simple reference implementation that all other languages could use, so that they can just look at that code and just then write it into the idiomatic way, let's say in Go or in Rust or in Python, right? Now, we have PocketJS, the next version. We're calling it Slim for now, even though it's not going to be slim in the end because it's going to have everything you need. But it's definitely slimmer in that it's less complexity, it's just simpler to use, right? And it's pretty cool. So for now, the repo is just it's just a monorepo structure with 6 packages. It's all published independently, right? So we have utils to parse public keys, to parse addresses, to parse private keys, right? We have the provider, which lets you then connect to a URL that is the node, the gateway, or whatever, and just get data from the chain. Then we have the signer, which is a very useful utility because that's the thing. You either send messages or just import a private key, you import your account, and you can use it. Then we have the relayer, which we are using to send relays into the network already. So this does dispatching for Pocket relays and also just actual relaying, right? Which all the signing things. We are working on the transaction builder, which is pretty much the most important feature for the community, which lets you build transactions, maybe sign them offline, and also lets you send them, right? And then we have types, which are just utility types that anyone can import, so that if you're ever building some kind of application, if you'd like to have some types, you'll have them. The repo is available at the Foundation GitHub organization, and it's called PocketJS Slim. It's already public, so if you want to contribute anything, docs, APR for adding functionality, an issue if you find a bug, if you go and try it after the presentation, just let me know, and I'll probably answer you and with some guidance and/or a review if you're trying to get some code in. But of course, let's see some examples of how this is shaping up, right? It's really a lot of less code, right? Because the packages are independent, you can use the things in an independent manner. For example, I want to instantiate a key manager, which will let me get my private key and then get my address, get public keys, and you see and sign a message, an arbitrary message, right, in hex. So as you can see, it's really just 3 lines, right? Declare the signer, and then use a static method to import a private key that is in an env file, and then I can do stuff with it. I can get my address, I can get my public key, and I can sign an arbitrary message in hex. That'll be the keybase in the Legacy SDK, which is a package that especially people have told us that can be a little bit confusing to use, not because it's necessarily too bloated, but just because it could be clear in functionality. We just try to make it a little bit easier so that everyone has an easier time just dealing with these things. Then we have the provider, for which you can get a lot of interesting data. For example, this will be the HTTP provided the Legacy SDK, and if you ever try to fetch, let's say, a block from the chain with PocketJS, that's exactly what this is. As you can see, it's 4 lines. You just declare the provider, and you have an object structure for which you have the RPC URL, and if you're trying to dispatch from the provider, you also set the dispatchers. And then you can do stuff with it. You can get the balance of an account, you can get the actual account with everything that you get from the chain, you can get an app, you can get the current block number, right? You can get a node from it, you can get an account with all the transactions, in a raw manner, and you can get any specific block. Basically, you have everything you need to get any kind of data, and you could pretty much just like query the whole chain with that, right? So that's pretty much ready to go. Then we have the relayer, which is the very important, the very interesting part, right? The relayer takes a key manager and a provider because that's how you send a relay in Pocket Network, right? You need the actual provider to connect to the node, and you need the actual signer with a private key that can actually send relays from an app. But apart from that, it's really just those 2 things, and everything else is configured for you, because you don't need to set any parameters, or then maybe other 1 or 2 which are optional. But with that, then you can actually send relays into the network. That easy. Of course, as you can see, sending relays is as easy as doing this. You get a new session, right? Then we don't have actual session management in the SDK because we wanted to keep it lean. So that means that if you get a session to send a relay, you need to cache it. So you make sure that it's easier to keep track of the session, and you don't need to waste bandwidth just getting a new session, right? So always remember to cache your sessions. That's really important. But apart from that, it's really just trying to send a relay. Of course, you can see that I try here 5 times, and you send a new relay 5 times, right? Then with that, that's pretty much it for sending a relay. It's that easy. The transaction builder package, then, as it's not ready yet, I don't have a demo for you, but we'll have it ready really soon, along with documentation, and you guys will be able to use it as well. And we actually expect people to migrate to the new Slim package as soon as we call it done from a 1.0 perspective for the package itself, right? We also have nice additions such as built-in Pocket core errors. This is really useful, for example, when we are doing relaying, right? Because we can actually see what's happening in the code, and it's just really easy to catch errors. And this is all over the client, so that instead of like trying to catch an actual error message, you can just match the error or the error code with an enum. That easy. And is this version in use already? Yes, we've been dogfooding this new SDK for a long time already, and this next version, along with a lot of other optimizations from other team members in the backend team, which have been amazing, this has already improved our service dramatically, right? As we can adapt personally the SDK to our needs in a better manner. And this is true for all users. This SDK will be easier to adapt to your needs, and you will not need as much code, as much boilerplate to get your stuff done. This has helped us, and we hope it helps you too. And as you can see, there's been a real upturn in relays in the past week, and some of that we can definitely attribute to our improvements in service. PocketJS Slim, of course, has something to do with this. And we hope that the community adoption comes just soon after we finish properly documenting the SDK and the transaction builder package, so that with that, we actually have a proper SDK that people find really fun to use and that just people really enjoy using overall. But with that, definitely expect the transaction builder package to be done along with the documentation the next 2 weeks, and we'll let you know once it's completely out. For now, though, it's already on npm, so you can just download it and give it a try. And you can already give us early feedback. And if you'd like, we'll be dropping the link to the actual repo in GitHub. So if you want to give it a star, definitely do so. And if you want to get involved in the discussion, feel free to reach the channels. And also, you can just reach me personally over on GitHub or email on Discord if you'd like to discuss anything about PocketJS. But that's all for me. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Enrique. Does anyone have any questions? Feel free to post in the community called QA text channel. You can also request to be given permission to speak as well. So we are aware of an issue also while I wait for questions to come in. We're aware of an issue with maximum number of viewer limit for streams. Seems to be set to 50 and we are unable to change that. Thanks, Discord. Yes, but this call is being recorded, so you'll be able to see the visuals afterwards if you wish. And I'm wondering if we can maybe hack this a little bit. Discord allows us to have multiple streams. We have 100 people almost with a 50 limit per stream. So I'm wondering if someone might volunteer to stream the stream, and maybe that way we can get everyone to see the visuals. So yeah, if anyone is on the core team with permissions to screen share wants to volunteer to stream the stream, just post in the community call QA channel. But yeah, if there aren't any more questions for PocketJS, Slim, I think we can move on to the next topic, which is ThunderPOKT.
Hello, everyone. I will share my screen now. Everyone see that? Hello? I don't know.
I can see it.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah,
Cool.
so
I'm gonna go full screen. Okay. Hello, everyone. This is Addison and Pierre with Thunderhead, and today we are here to tell you about the tech, the impact, and the future of ThunderPOKT, and our goal to revolutionize the way that people stake their Pocket.
Now you may be wondering, what is ThunderPOKT? Well, ThunderPOKT is a highly efficient and user-friendly pooling system and process. Now, what does that mean? Due to the pseudo-random nature of Pocket, if you're only running a few nodes, you'll have extremely sporadic and volatile rewards. Participating in a pool means that you'll always have a consistent pool of nodes to get consistent rewards. Your representation of your stake in the pool is given in a reward-bearing ERC20 token. This means that the ERC20 token is usable all across DeFi, which means that we have liquid staking, so you can buy, sell, or trade your ThunderPOKT at any time. Now you may be wondering, how does it work? Well, at any time, you can send native Pocket and receive TPOKT at a 1-to-1 ratio. This is completely permissionless. No need to create an account, DM an admin, or fill out a form. Then, that native Pocket is staked on nodes, and rewards are distributed continuously to TPOKT holders via a rebase every Pocket block. That means that every Pocket block, your balance will increase by the rewards that the nodes earn. If you want to convert ThunderPOKT back to Pocket, you can either burn your TPOKT, we will unstake it and send you the native Pocket in 21 days, or you can swap TPOKT for USDC immediately through Uniswap or SushiSwap.
Now you may ask, what are the benefits of this? Well, ThunderPOKT allows you to stake any amount of Pocket instantly, and I mean any amount. This allows you to forego long waiting times and large minimums with node providers or tranches. As soon as you send native Pocket to the minter, you're going to start earning rewards in the next Pocket block. Since TPOKT is an ERC20 token, Everything is on chain. You can avoid convoluted reports and dashboards. You can just look at your MetaMask balance or look at a personalized dashboard that we provide you. Also, TPOKT is an ERC20 token, which means you can sell it, which will allow you to bypass the 21-day unstaking period, or you can transfer them to a friend. TPOKT is also fully permissionless. You don't need an account, there's no signups, no minimums, and no barriers. Anybody can do this. All they need to do is send Pocket to the minter with their ERC20 address in the memo. Also, TPOKT compounds daily. This allows TPOKT holders to have maximal rewards. And we also plan to compound as soon as the nodes generate enough Pocket to create a new node.
It's all on chain. That means it's fully transparent for anybody to view or parse. It's built on Web3 technology and everything is public. You can see exactly how much you're earning with your MetaMask or the dashboard that we give you, and we provide straightforward historical performance.
Now, since TPOKT is an ERC20 token, this means it can be used in DeFi. These are just a few of the applications that we've identified that are possible to integrate with TPOKT so far. First, Pendle Finance. Pendle Finance allows you to separate the yield token from a principal token. Pendle, upon giving Pendle your TPOKT, they'll give you the principal token, which will just be essentially a different kind of wrapped POKT, and a yield token, which will represent the rewards and the rebase rewards. This allows you to have yield derivatives, where you can speculate on the number of relays of the Pocket network, or you can hedge. Next, Rari Capital. Rari Capital is a DeFi protocol that allows anybody to deploy compound pools. This allows for permissionless lending and leverage, which will allow for leverage staking, which means you can get leveraged yield, or you can just borrow against your nodes. Or what you can do right now is be a liquidity provider in a decentralized exchange. You can earn trading fees, node rebases, and liquidity incentives. That's yield on yield on yield. You can currently do this in SushiSwap, which is currently returning 130% APR just off of trading fees. Path to liquidity. Right now, we're live on SushiSwap. You can buy and sell TPOKT there now. But SushiSwap is a Uniswap v2 fork, which means it's not very capital efficient. So, in the very near future, we're going to migrate to Uniswap v3. This will allow for increased capital efficiency. We're also going to incentivize a USDC WPOKT pair on our WT-POKT pair on Uniswap v3 with 50 to 100K Pocket a month in liquidity incentives. This is enough to incentivize $500,000 to $1 million of liquidity at 100% APR. That's not even including the trading fees or the rewards that you're going to continue to earn while being a liquidity provider. Next, once WPOKT is released, we plan on creating and incentivizing a curve pool between WPOKT and TPOKT. This will be the best form of liquidity since it will attract a lot of liquidity providers due to the negligible divergence loss. We also plan to explore some protocol-owned liquidity here. Now, the future, the decentralization and the creation of ThunderDAO. Our goal at ThunderPOKT is to revolutionize and reinvent the way that people stake their Pocket. This means we plan to create a fully trustless liquid staking pool and allow anybody to become a service provider for the liquid staking pool. We're going to do this by launching a governance token that will allow you to govern the ThunderDAO, or you can buy and stake this token to earn the right to run a Pocket node on behalf of ThunderPOKT. Currently, there is a significant barrier to entry to becoming a node service provider. This is due to the trust involved. However, with ThunderDAO, we plan to eliminate the layer of trust and use crypto economic incentives to ensure that anybody can be a node runner and align their interests with the ThunderDAO. And this is going to further decentralize the Pocket network as well, because it is going to increase the amount of people running nodes. Security. This is not something we take lightly. We need to have a solid foundation for the thing that will revolutionize Pocket staking. We're currently built on Polygon, which is the 8th largest chain by TVL. We've also currently contracted Arcadia Group, which is an auditing firm that has audited many other DeFi protocols, such as Hubble. We're not going to stop with this, though. We're going to pursue additional audits on our operational security and penetration testing to ensure our infrastructure is secure. The native Pocket that backs the TPOKT is custodied by ThunderStake, which is currently in process with getting coin cover insurance to ensure all of the nodes in case of an incident. Thank you all very much for coming to our presentation today. If you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to join our Discord, our Telegram, or you can even reach out to me directly. We're also always open to suggestions and happy to help you out. Thank you all very much. Have a nice day.
Thank you, guys.
So we have a couple of questions already in the chat. We already know who runs the nodes. That's ThunderStake. But what are the security assurance against slashing?
Flashing for the Pocket nodes.
Slashing of the Pocket nodes, yeah.
Well, currently that risk is pretty much negligible. When you get jailed, you lose 0.0015 of the Pocket. But once we have coin cover insurance, that will significantly benefit that as well. And I mean, the risk of slashing is extremely, extremely negligible. I don't think there's been a node that's been slashed that's resulted in complete loss.
Yeah, Alex, Natural Nodes is saying that servicers don't get jailed or slashed. Okay, number two, how do you oracleize the balance of the nodes in Pocket Network to Ethereum?
So currently, right now, this goes through an off-chain minter that we control. Our goal, though, is to eventually have all of the computation for the rewards and creation of tokens to be all on-chain, so that the only thing you need to do is have a trusted source to post the Pocket blockchain data onto Polygon. We can either do this with Chainlink, or we could potentially have Pocket do it itself. But right now, it's a trusted setup with us. However, our goal is to eventually make this completely trustless and decentralized.
And then number three, do you rebase in Ethereum main chain every Pocket node? How gas efficient is that?
So right now, we're on Polygon Network, which has negligible gas fees. We rebase every 15 minutes, every Pocket block. There, the gas is negligible. We're planning to move to Ethereum mainnet soon, but we're not sure how we're going to do that, just because gas could potentially be very expensive if we're sending a transaction every 15 minutes.
Okay, and then there's another question here asking, how do you keep a one-to-one exchange rate with Pocket if you can trade TPocket for USDC? Do you burn some Pocket on your end when that happens, or do you let the market take care of it through arbitrage?
So currently the market takes care of that via arbitrage. So basically how it works is TPocket will in theory never be at a premium to native Pocket, just because at any time you can mint TPocket with native Pocket and then sell it. But due to the way liquid staking works, since the underlying asset is locked, the staked version TPocket tends to trade at a slight discount. Currently, though, there's a lot of new people minting, which means that there is no discount, and it's actually been trading almost in line or at a slight premium. And we're exploring ways to completely mitigate the discount as long as new people are minting. But then also at any time, if the discount grows significantly, somebody can buy TPocket, burn it, and then receive a 21-day fixed rate of yield.
Why you mentioned maybe moving to Ethereum mainnet? Why is TPocket moving to Ethereum mainnet from Polygon?
No, I think I might have misspoke. We're not planning to move to Ethereum mainnet. I think as Pocket is multi-chain, so we want to be multi-chain as well. Ethereum will just be another option for people to hold their TPocket on.
So it'll be multi-chain.
Yeah.
Okie dokie. We have one more person typing. Oh, maybe not. What other chains are you considering besides Ethereum mainnet and Polygon?
Potentially one of the roll-ups like Optimism, and we've also thought about Avalanche as well.
Say maybe we can add a lot.
Any other questions for ThunderPOKT? Nope. Okay, thanks guys. Appreciate the updates.
Cool. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Okay, and if there's any more questions for ThunderPOKT, those can be answered via text. So next up, we have PocketPool, and I believe it will be Jinx.
Hey, everybody. It's been a really interesting 5 months, watching the options out there expand and the ecosystem grow. And PocketPool itself has had an extraordinary amount of growth in that time. We appreciate the support that has come in from the community on that. And we're excited to announce that as of this evening, we're launching the beta of the application that we've been working on over the last 3 months or so to fully automate the entire process for staking and participating in the PocketPool environment. A couple of the key things that we are rolling in there are the ability to stake, sweep, and unstake all through the app. We've added two-factor authentication for additional security in the application. The confirmations process will be real-time from the blockchain versus issuing confirmations reports. And of course, there'll be personalized dashboards for easy earnings review for everyone involved in there. We're doing our beta with a set of 100 beta testers from our community over the next 7 days, and then we are looking forward to launching to the full community on April 1st. And after that, we'll have about a 30-day process, after which we will completely deprecate all of the manual processes to give everybody a chance to get onboarded and get settled into the new application. But it's been 3 months. It's been a long process, and we're looking forward to continuing to serve the community in that aspect. Our presentation and update is much shorter and simpler than the previous one, but just wanted to let everybody know.
Thanks, Jinx. Any questions about the PocketPool app? As a reminder, you can use the community call QA text channel to type your questions, or you can ask in that channel to be given permission to speak. Okay, it doesn't look like there's any questions. Oh, no, someone's typing. Is PocketPool planning to decentralize?
I'm not sure what that means.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the stack, really. There's some things you just can't decentralize. We have a follow-up question, perhaps, being typed. To allow other node runners to participate. That was what they meant by decentralized.
Oh, other node running services? I mean, yeah, PocketPool is an administrative layer on top of traditional node runner services that are in the community. The vast majority of our pool nodes right now, not all of them, but the vast majority of them are currently being serviced by block spaces. And we have used a number of providers along the way, and we're always looking into what other options are out there for which node runner services are incorporated into the pool. So absolutely, there's always some flexibility on that front.
Someone else has asked, will there be insurance for those who wish to have it?
Oh, it's not even about those who wish to have it. We have the same coin cover protection that is offered to all of the node runner services on our individual nodes. And we've also done a full end-to-end Packet Labs audit of the infrastructure that we use to interact with that.
So you're already insured then?
That goes live with the application, yes.
And does a 21-day unstaking still apply? But then that removes the 60-day wait.
Yeah, the 60-day initial stake was always simply a measure to reduce the amount of manual labor involved while we got the application built. That has been fully dropped at this point, so there is no 60-day initial stake at all. The 21-day unstake time will absolutely remain.
Okay, I believe we're done with questions for pocketpool. If there are any more, those can be answered async. Next up, we have Paul from DAppNode. I know that he's screen sharing, so what we're going to try to do is I'm going to try and get access to the stream before the 50 slots are used up, because I have not been able to watch the previous streams. And once I have access, I will then try to share my own screen and see whether that can give everyone access. So give me some warning when you're about to stream, and then I'll try and get in on the first 50.
All right, cool. I'm about to stream. Let me do that. Sweet. I should be streaming right now. Good. It's so good to be here. We've been talking with Pocket Network for a very, very long time because we kind of DAppNode and Pocket Network kind of work on the same infrastructure layer from different approaches, and one allows people to run their own nodes and the other one allows them to share those nodes to the rest of the world. So I don't need to explain what Pocket does to you guys. You know a lot better than I do. But just in case, to bring everybody up to space, I'm just going to do a very, very, very quick run-up of DAppNode and what DAppNode is and what is it used for. So the mission of DAppNode is to help everybody run their own nodes, to be self-sovereign or to be Web3 sovereign with their data. This was particularly important not that long ago when Infura decided to cut off some IPs that came from certain locations, certain countries. And that's both DAppNode and Pocket got a lot of attention at that particular moment because they can provide RPC endpoints that do not depend on Infura, do not depend on a big company, and that they are decentralized. So in the case of Pocket, you guys already know how it works. In the case of DAppNode, you would be running your own node or you would be connecting to somebody that has a DAppNode's node. Right. So up until now, DAppNode offers you this Dapp store where you have all these nodes. You can run a Tornado cache relayer, a storage node, Nethermind, Geth, Ethereum Classic, Zcash, Bitcoin, Cosmos, Monero, many testnets, and all of this you can deploy it with a couple of clicks. You can run an Avalanche node. And you can do this with a couple of clicks. And this is really important. The mission of DAppNode is to bring Web3 self-sovereignty to people that do not have technical acumen. People that would not be able to do it if there was any command line involved or any technical any coding involved or even any DevOps involved. So we've built our products in order to have very minimal maintenance and to do everything through a UI. So here you can see a little bit what I'm running on my DAppNode. You can see that I can connect via a VPN, so I can connect. This DAppNode is running in my kitchen, and I can install whatever I want on here. So the installation process would go like this: would go through. I would show you with the Pocket node, but I already have it installed, as you can see here, and we would have to sync it for demonstration later. So I've already installed it. So let's go with an Avalanche node, and you would click install. You would go here, and now it's downloading this from IPFS. So you never have to connect to a centralized server or a DAppNode server. This is in IPFS. And what tells you what is available in the Dapp store is an Ethereum smart contract. So the Ethereum smart contract is the repository, and then you download, it points to an IPFS hash where you can download the network that you want. So right now it's installing Avalanche, and I will have Avalanche in my list of packages. I'm going to delete it now because we're not going to use it for this demonstration. And in the same way, that's how I would install the Pocket node. The cool thing about the Pocket node is that it can plug into any of the networks that are already available in DAppNode, and of course that they are already available in Pocket as well. So let's see what happens with my Pocket nodes. I will go in here, and it will tell you it has this beautiful UI. It will tell you the current block height. This is because, as you know, you have to stake and do all the operations when making sure that you are at the current block height. This is a testnet package. So what we can see are the testnets, and the only thing that we need to do is to just change the amount that we want to stake to maybe I want to delete girly from this machine, and then click restake. And this code, as you know, this comes up if you've used the testnet lately. This comes up every time about one of 20 tries goes through. So this is a problem of the Pocket testnet, but if we keep trying, we'll eventually get this this transaction through. What have we done in order to get here? So basically, we've created an API. We're using as the base the Pocket nodes, the Docker image, and we've created an API that communicates with that node, and also we've created the UI that serves you all of this. Imagine that you would find all the networks in here. You'd be able to click and select whenever they are synced, and then you'd be able to restake. The reason why you don't see an unstake button is because you can do that through the official wallet, and we want to eliminate complexity on in here. So you will still be able, if the community wants it, we can include this button. But for now, this functionality is included in the wallet. So that's here we go. Now it has we're restaking, and I'm gonna stop sharing my Gorley node to the Pocket network. And that's basically it. That's how simple it is to start a Pocket node and link it to any of the chains and networks that I'm running on my DAppNode. For example, if I had a Ropsten node or a Rinkeby node, I would have been able to, and I could have it here. For example, I will get the Rinkeby node. I would have been able to also start offering it in the Pocket Network testnet. With mainnet, all of the nodes that are also that are here and also in the Pocket Network will be able to be shared. And that's pretty much it from the DAppNode side. Any questions?
Okay, I've stopped streaming as well. Let's see if there's any questions about DAppNode. Someone who's typing.
Oh, thank you,
No
Enrique.
questions. There's someone very excited.
Sweet, I'm excited too. All right, thank you very much, guys.
Thanks, Paul. Much appreciated. Okay, next up we have NodePilot. And same again, assuming that you're screen sharing, I'll need to time it so that I can get in there too and relay that. Chain Europe.
All right. Yeah, sounds good. I'm kind of managing a few things because I'm also recording this stream. So yeah, give me 1 second.
Okey-doke. We have another recording too as well, so
Right.
bit of
Perfect.
redundancy there in case.
Perfect. Okay. Okay, share my screen. Here we go. Go live. Now let me switch on here as well. Okay. Let's see. Now if I click slideshow, will that? Nice, it does work. Okay. Fantastic. Hey everyone. Really excited to be giving an update. We've a lot has been happening with Node Pilot since we launched. Actually, almost a year ago, April of last year is when we launched the official beta, and things have a lot has happened in the past year, and we're excited to kind of give an update for where we're at right now. See, all right, perfect. So I'm going to go over some new chains that we are going to be adding. I'm also going to talk about some node launcher updates and talk a little bit about what this means for our open source deployment engine. I'm also going to be giving a major architectural update that we're going to be deploying, which a lot of people have been hearing about. It's called Docker and Docker. And then I'm going to give a bit of an overview of what our future roadmap is going to be looking like. So first off, new chains we're going to be adding. These are all being added to the Node Launcher library, and then also added to Node Pilot itself. We have Polygon, we have OEC, we have an Ergon client, and we have IOTX. The exciting part about these chains being added is we've actually had outside contributors participating in adding new chains. So this is super exciting for us. Right now, it's basically been myself and Amish doing everything. But yeah, we're starting to kind of grow a team that is really helping us scale into these new chains. Which obviously, once they're added to Node Launcher, it's a super easy task to add it to Node Pilot. And so, just getting them into Node Launcher is always the biggest is the challenge. It's where the development is mostly needs to focus on. And so the exciting thing is these are going to be these are actually in the development branch currently of Node Launcher, and we're still doing some tests and getting everything all ready so that we can deploy it to Node Pilot. So far, with every chain that we've deployed on Node Pilot, it's been a just super easy experience for all of our users, and that's the reason we kind of invest the time that we invest into making sure that everything is perfectly good to go before it's pushed out to users, so there's no hiccup in adding any new chains. So in terms of Node Launcher is really maturing. It's, what Node Launcher is it's a JavaScript API engine that allows you to deploy Docker containers and blockchain nodes simply through JavaScript APIs. It's super powerful because it's almost like the Ethers.js, but for node launching. And so Ethers.js simplifies how people can talk to the Ethereum blockchain. You don't have to do everything through simple or through the RPC calls. You can do everything through a simple JavaScript API. And that's the reason Ethers.js is so powerful. They actually use Pocket on their backend. And so that's a great way to think of what Node Launcher is it's a JavaScript API that allows you to deploy nodes, interface with nodes, update nodes, all simply through JavaScript without having to learn Docker, without having to learn, or without having to do any command line or anything like that, which is really a novel way to approach node deployment and even just Docker container deployment in general. It also comes with a powerful test suite, which is one of the big things that allows us to keep nodes up to date. Is when a node is added to Node Launcher, it has a built-in test suite that the moment a new update is available, we can actually run that update through Node Launcher, and it checks to make sure that everything is going to work perfectly for that update. And then for users, when they log in, they'll see that there's a little update button, and all they do is click that, and it automatically updates their that node's instance. But the test suite is just really becoming a slick tool for us. And updating is becoming really, really simple once a chain is inside the Node Launcher library. And the cool thing is, as I mentioned before, several developers have been getting involved with adding new chains, and it's cool to kind of see that grow. What Node Launcher is kind of matured to is you can actually create applications really easy with Node Launcher. So these are node deployment applications. Amish took Amish Batman He took an evening just to create a little test app. And just by using Node Launcher and Electron, which is just it's a JavaScript, basically like browser front end that is common for a lot of applications, including Discord. Discord is an Electron app. So just by using Electron and Node Launcher, you can create node deployment applications that have seamless updating. And this is an example of one that we have open source on our GitHub that anyone can check to see how it's made. But it's just utilizing Node Launcher APIs within an Electron application, and you have full node deployment capabilities. So we're excited to see where Node Launcher goes, and we're wanting, we're hoping that as this matures and as we kind of get to a V1, we're going to be adding validator APIs very soon. We actually have a community member who's going to be helping us with some validator APIs, and so we're really excited to add that so that soon not only can you deploy apps, you can then upgrade them to validators for a number of different chains, including Pocket and Fuse and Harmony, which are all coming up. So we're super excited about that. Now, Node Pilot. Now, we have a major change happening under the hood. Currently, the architecture of Node Pilot is it's a application that sits on Ubuntu. And what it does is it interfaces with Docker through Node Launcher, and it deploys nodes in Docker, so you don't have to do it yourself, right? And so Node Pilot itself, though, is an Ubuntu application. That's how it's been. Every Node Pilot instance that's out there, that's how it's running. But there's been a number of challenges that, well, not necessarily challenges. Where we want to go with the platform and where we want to scale. And if you remember our past proposals, we always mention a enterprise API. And to get to that enterprise API, we realized that we really need to switch things up here to really make it something that can be applied to much larger systems. So we are containerizing Node Pilot itself. This means that Node Pilot itself is not an application on Ubuntu, but instead it's inside Docker. And then within Docker, it's actually able to also control Docker. And that's actually why we use the term Docker and Docker so often. Because when a container inside of Docker is actually controlling Docker itself from inside of Docker, that's one of the formats that the concept of Docker and Docker takes. You can also have like literally an instance of Docker inside of Docker if you wanted to, but that we don't need that for what we're doing. We just need to be able to containerize Node Pilot so that it's inside Docker. And then on Ubuntu, just to make it super easy to deploy and to start Node Pilot, we just have a little CLI, which just simply launches Node Pilot itself. It'll just be a Node Launcher, a little Node Launcher application sitting on Ubuntu, and it just launches Node Pilot itself. And then within Node Pilot, you do all the normal stuff you're used to. You can deploy any of the chains. You can deploy Pocket validators, and then everything will be protected inside of a file system that we are going to be introducing some encryption for, which is really exciting. So no matter where you have this deployed, the host doesn't actually have access to any of your keys or anything of that nature, because everything is in an encrypted state. So we're really looking forward to getting to that once we finish this Docker and Docker containerization. But one of the cool, then how does this scale to like a enterprise mindset, and why was this necessary? What this allows us to do is it allows Node Pilot itself to actually be a part of much larger systems. So if you look here, you have the multiple versions of Node Pilot all running inside of the same Docker instance. So this could be inside the same server. You have one that's a mix of Pocket nodes and chain nodes. But say you have, maybe you want to have a different architecture and you want to have just a Node Pilot that's dedicated to chain nodes. And that's what this middle one represents. It's just all chain nodes. And then you have another Node Pilot instance that's only dedicated to Pocket nodes, and that's what you can have on the right there. Now, the cool thing is if you wanted to have like a test instance, so say you wanted to have an instance where you're trying out some new stuff, and you don't want to have to spin up a whole new machine or spin up a new VM, you can actually spin up a new instance of NodePilot. Each of these instances can have their own DNS, and it's all just as simple as it is to set up a normal instance of NodePilot. You can do it all through, you can have all those same capabilities through each of these unique instances. And the other cool thing here is and they can also share nodes between each other, which is cool. They will have the ability to share nodes. So that can open the door to really cool kind of like orchestration, especially if you have like a NodePilot instance on one server, and then on another server you have your validators, and then you can have chain nodes and validators all kind of working together. So that's really cool. The other exciting part is if you see all the way on the left, you have, of course, the little NodePilot CLI, which can just deploy instances of NodePilot for you that sit on Ubuntu. Or you can use other orchestration software. You could use Kubernetes. You could use, oh shoot, what is this one called? Oh man, starts with an A. Alex, you'll have to tell me. Oh man, can't believe I'm Ansible. There we go. Ansible. Thank you. Ansible. So, and you can have Ansible. So the idea here is you could actually incorporate NodePilot in much larger systems to where the NodePilot instances themselves are just simply being deployed, through typical container orchestration platforms. And so that would be for, very complex systems, but we want NodePilot to be able to have that ability, because again, this almost opens up the ability to have node control through something simple like Ethers.js would be for Ethereum. You could still have that really simple ability to control everything through JavaScript APIs, but then have very complex deployment options. And with all of this, we ultimately want NodePilot to actually separate where originally, if you guys remember, our first iteration of NodePilot was it was just one application. And then later on, several months later, we put in a proposal for Node Launcher, which is where then we separated and abstracted the deployment engine itself and made that open source. Well, our goal here is then to build the API layer, which this Docker and Docker containerization is the first step to that, where we could actually have everything start opening up everything to an API, starting with the deployment of NodePilot itself, and then create this API layer that is then also open sourced, and then open source the GUI, and the whole stack will be open source. But we're doing it in a methodical way, so that we can focus on getting to the next module versus maintaining the blob that originally was NodePilot. And as we separate each element out, we're open sourcing it. And especially with like Node Launcher, we're excited about the developers that were getting involved with that. So one other aspect I'll say with going Docker and Docker is a cool security aspect, which I just wanted to quickly touch on. Current firewall requirements when you're using NodePilot is you have an instance of Ubuntu with NodePilot sitting on inside, and it's required that you have a firewall. And this is for security reasons. This is for just networking reasons in general, because some nodes, as we know, like many NodePilot users have found out that Harmony nodes actually spam the network, the local network, every like IP address and every port, looking for peers or something of that nature. I don't know exactly what it is. It's very, it can be very confusing because especially with some hosting providers, they're like, why are you spamming our networks? And it's just Harmony being a Harmony node, but it's important that you have a firewall to, protect even your inside network from, spamming other networks of hosting providers you might be on. So this is the current requirement for firewalls with Ubuntu, with NodePilot as it is today. Where we're going with this is by making NodePilot inside of Docker. NodePilot itself is now inside of a Docker network. When it's inside of a Docker network, you no longer need to use the the Ubuntu, like the core network from Ubuntu. You don't have to open up, all these ports so that Ubuntu, the application sitting on Ubuntu, can talk to Docker, and vice versa. It's now Ubuntu can be a firewall as well. There's no requirement for NodePilot to use the native Ubuntu firewall or network in order to operate, because everything operates inside of the Docker, inside of a Docker network, including all the nodes that then you deploy through your NodePilot instance. So this is really cool. It takes out that that need to have a firewall. We always still recommend a firewall because firewalls are just the best and by far always going to be the recommended. But if you trust Ubuntu server's firewall, this is a new kind of way that things can be deployed without having to worry about, if something if something gets into a local network or something like that, will they be able to access my NodePilot instance? And the answer is no, because everything is locked inside of a Docker network itself. So that's one of the other kind of security reasons why we went about the way that we went about things. So that's kind of a high level of our update in terms of what's coming. Kind of the roadmap. We're going to be launching these new chains here. We're hoping to get it out like this week or early next week with all these new chains. And then shortly after, in the coming weeks, we're going to be launching the Docker and Docker, where everything is now containerized. For users, there won't be anything that you need to do on your side. It'll just be a normal update, but the actual software will be operating very different under the hood, but you really won't notice any difference yourself. And then we're really going to be focused on that enterprise API, which we're really excited about, because that can really start opening the doors to independent node runners having a really powerful way to do mass deployments without needing to be a DevOps, IT professional. And so, anyways, that's pretty much it. I'd love to hear take any questions now if anyone has any.
We do have a question from the text channel. So regarding Docker and Docker, are you controlling the bare metal Docker instance, or are you using another layer of Docker within the NodePilot instance, i.e. Docker from Docker versus Docker in Docker?
You know what? I think, I'm not entirely sure. The Docker in Docker versus the Docker, like that distinction, I'm not entirely sure. Okay, versus Docker from Docker. I guess I'm not familiar with those distinctions. So, we can. I can respond to that kind of after the call. And actually, Amish is going to be typing. He's obviously
never a speaker. He's never a speaker, so he can unmute and speak if he wants as well.
Okay, yeah, go ahead, Amish. Unmute. If you can.
You should be able to. Yeah, you should be able to.
Okay. You might not have.
There we go.
There we go.
Hello?
It kept saying suppressed. All right. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
All right. Yeah, there's two ways to run Docker and Docker. One is that you run the Docker container, and then from within the Docker container, you run your Docker images. That's not what we are doing. That's what, like, for example, GitHub Actions does by default. So when you run a container in GitHub Actions, what it does is it opens a container and it runs a brand new, separate, completely containerized instance of Docker, inside the Docker container, and then runs your tests. And then when it gets rid of that container, all the state, everything disappears. That's not what we're interested in. What we do is we actually pass the Docker socket into the NodePilot container. So then NodePilot then has access to the host machine's Docker instance. So then all of the all of the different nodes you're running, all of the instances of NodePilot itself, all of the load balancers, the gateway, everything are all running on the host machine's Docker. So from the host machine, if you type Docker PS, you'll see everything. It's right there. And yeah, this is the better way to deal with the kind of deployments that we're doing. Especially when you're running the Docker in Docker, we actually have the actual Docker container. That would be much more limiting for our purposes because we couldn't open up ports and everything on the host machine. We'd have to rerun the original Docker container in order to update with the new volumes and the new ports and all that stuff. Plus, you have to give complete system privileges to the Docker container. And I don't want to give any Docker container complete system privileges. That's yucky. So, yeah, what we do is just all they have access to is the Docker socket for NodePilot containers, no other containers, obviously. Does that answer
Okay.
questions?
It looks like it does answer the question. Thank you for that. Any other questions about NodePilot?
Well, that's why I keep Amish around.
It doesn't look like we have any other questions. So
All right.
that being the case, I think we can move on to PoKT Lint.
Yes, excited about that. Okay, so PoKT Lint. You guys can still see my screen, right? Perfect.
Yep.
So PoKT Lint. So this is a new tool that we have hosted on PocketLint.com. You can go there right now and use it to your heart's desire. What PoKT Lint is it's a latency tester for Pocket validators or Pocket nodes. So one of the challenges right now is when a node is part of a session, one of the primary determination on how much rewards they're going to get on that session is going to be how fast they are compared to other nodes inside of that current session. So it's super important then that Pocket nodes have really low latency in order to maximize rewards. And the latency is determined on where the Pocket node is in terms of the location to and the distance to the Pocket portal deployments. And so there's about 14 Pocket deployment or Pocket portal deployments all around the world. And depending on how close you are to each one will determine how much rewards you're going to be getting from each of those deployments. And so right now there hasn't been a way to test or to analyze what your latency is to a Pocket portal deployment. So that's a huge factor that node runners haven't had the ability, a huge data point that node runners haven't had access to. So we created PoKT Lint. What it does is it allows your node to, if you turn on simulate relays on your node, which with a NodePilot, it's the click of a button. If you're just running Pocket Core, you run simulate relays as a flag on startup. But what it does is simulate relays opens up your node to be able to receive test calls from outside of the Pocket network itself. So you turn on simulate relays, and that then allows PoKT Lint to send requests to your nodes from every location that the portal is deployed. So this will give you a full idea of everywhere that where your latency compares to all of the other portal locations. Let me give you an example here of this in work. I'm going to. All you do is once you turn on simulate relays, you put in the address of your node and you click run. What happens is then this PoKT Lint application, what it does is it's just calling back to the Pocket network and it's identifying it identifies your URL and then it starts sending test requests your way from all the different portal locations. So each of these are a portal location. We don't have every region deployed right now, but we will be getting that up. We will be getting that up soon. As another little piece of tidbit, we are going to be putting up a proposal this week. We already have a draft and we're just working out some finer details, but we're going to be putting this up for a proposal for reimbursement for what we've done, but then also to give us runway for the ability, to add new features down the road and be able to take in user feedback and apply them to this application. So this little application, you give it the address, it pulls your URL, and it starts testing you across all these different locations. Now, what PoKT Lint itself is it's technically an open source API that can be deployed anywhere. We have it deployed through AWS Lambda as a AWS Lambda function. You can deploy this yourself as an AWS Lambda function, or you can do it through a Docker container, which we have on our GitHub as well. So all of this is open source, but the idea would be it's going to be an open API that any user can come use this application to interface with that API, or you could add this into your own applications. So like with Node Pilot, we're going to add a button that allows you to then test your latency, and it'll all happen automatically, and there will be just an open API for that. No Problem, community member No Problem, who he was a huge part of this. He actually did a lot of the majority of the the developing of the actual APIs themselves. He has Pocket Tools, POKT.tools, which is a great website, great tool. He can integrate that into his tool by just simply adding a button that interfaces with the API. So we want to deploy the API as a free service for any applications to use, and then we're going to be asking for a grant to maintain it, to pay for resources for having it be a API for the Pocket network to use. But here, just looking at my results real quick. We ran the test, and according to AP, which is Asia Pacific North, I'm getting 354, 350s latency. That's probably not going to be good enough to really get good rewards. But then over here, US, because this node that I'm testing with is in the US, you're looking at 77 latency. Anything under 100 milliseconds, you're basically guaranteed full rewards from any session you're in. Now, if you're over 100 and you're more like between 100 to like 300, you're likely not going to get like full rewards. You might be getting like 80% rewards. And it really just depends on the session, because if there's just a lot of faster nodes in your session, then you just won't get the full reward. But if you but for the most part, that's kind of a rule of thumb. If you're anywhere from 100, 200, maybe 300, you'll still see rewards. It might not be the full rewards that you get if you're under 100. And so you can see, like with US West, I still get, I'm under 150. So, there's still going to be, rewards coming from there. It just won't be that max rewards. And if there was a proposal by the team that talked about how rewards are going to be working with the portal that they submitted to the DAO. I believe it was like in December or something of that nature. It was a few months ago. You can go back and look at it. It's the cherry picker. You just search cherry picker in the forums and you'll see it, and you'll see how everything is weighted. But what at least we wanted to do is just make it easy for nodes to turn on simulate relays, come here, figure out where they stand in terms of which portal locations they're getting good responses from, fast responses from, so that can play into strategizing where you deploy your nodes, right? It also plays into if you upgrade something in your infrastructure or change something, you might want to test it to make sure that the latency isn't being affected by some changes you made to your network, things of that nature. This is just really important. I know for me, this is something that I've been dreaming about, because it's been very hard to get solid data on knowing where I stand in terms of the portal itself, and especially different regions. And so one strategy is obviously the more regions that you can be under 100, that's by far the best in terms of maximizing rewards, because every portal location will be able to, at least more portal locations will be able to give you more. Will be able to give you more rewards because you're faster. So one thing I just did here is I just added more nodes. This is 3 nodes. The one I showed before was US East, where it was deployed, but we have nodes elsewhere. And this node here, they don't have simulate relays turned on. So because they don't have simulate relays turned on, it's just showing errors. So if you start showing these errors, there's something wrong. For some reason, PoKT Lint isn't able to connect to your nodes. But here we have, this is a node in Europe, and you see that under the Europe locations, they're getting really great latency. I mean, we're well under 100 for a number of these locations. But then obviously when they try to do Southeast Asia, that's where the time latency is too high to really participate in any rewards. You can also go to our docs. We have it all laid out on how to use it. We also have a breakdown of what you should shoot for in terms of latency, and we have some explanations there. So anyways, we'd love to hear any questions that you have. And yeah, that's pretty much PoKT Lint.
So we have a
I'm
couple
going to
of
interrupt
questions.
because I can make myself speak, and I'm going to say that's truly amazing, Shane. That is fantastic. That answers so many questions that I get every day from node runners. Fantastic.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Huge credit to No Problem, who really spearheaded the API of this. So we're really excited to be working with him.
Yep, amazing work.
I unmuted myself.
Yep, I can hear you.
All right, good. Yeah, this is Ryan. Just wanted to make it clear. This is currently just a website, but what the idea is, or the hope is, then to maintain this website just as a public-facing tool for anybody to use, and to expose the back end as an API. Obviously, the code itself is all that No Problem built. That's wonderful. It's already online and open source, but we want to expose the API as well. So then anybody could, from their application or their website or anything, they could then send a request and get this exact data and serve it up, with their stuff. So I just wanted to make that thing. We want there to be both, and we want to be able to keep it available for everybody.
So we have a couple of questions in the channel. Okay, what's the best way to do this? So we have a general question asking, are there any new features that you're contemplating adding to PoKT Lint besides what you've already outlined?
Yeah, one feature is integrating, and actually in the API there is a ping API that's available. That will just tell you the distance latency. And that's important because say you have, your distance latency is say 80 milliseconds. Like that's how far it takes just for a raw ping to go from your node to a location where the portal would be. And that's 80 milliseconds. But then you have say your Pocket Validator is talking to a chain node that is maybe in a different data center, and that adds another 10 millisecond jump, right? And because a call is going from your Pocket node 10 milliseconds to that other node, then 10 milliseconds back, right? And then it's responding. You're looking at around 100 millisecond latency, which at that point, you could be teetering on not getting full rewards that you could potentially getting if you're safe inside the less than 100 millisecond rewards. So a ping tool is one of the things we want to add so that you can distinguish what's the processing latency and then what's just a raw distance latency. And then that will help with a whole number of other things with people figuring out how do they want to deploy. Also, we are going to be adding testnet. That's important too, because with testnet, you could deploy a testnet node somewhere, wherever you want, and just start doing some tests. And we'll include all of the normal chains that are on mainnet. So you could actually have a full testnet infrastructure to test out, hey, is this where I want to really invest my nodes? So that's just a few of them. The other thing is just obviously deploying this in all the regions and tying it all together. We're at least right now we're in 10.
So it looks like the next question you answered with your testnet comment, but I'll read it out anyway, just in case. Essentially, with PoKT Lint, you need to be on chain in order to run the latency test. So the question was, will there be a way for could there be a way for node runners to test their latency before they stake, so that they know to move their node somewhere else before making that commitment? How about targeting a node by their URL rather than their Pocket address? It sounds like your testnet implementation would be the answer to that. But feel free to add something else if not.
Yeah, that would be one. Another possible idea is we could just have an IP address, feature here where you could just add in your IP address. Because right now it knows to send, the test calls to your URL, right? But if you aren't deployed on mainnet yet, there's no way, there's no validator with an address on the chain yet. So if we put a IP address here, what that could do is just, hey, ping this IP address with all the test calls, and it would still work as long as you have simulate relays turned on with that node and it's public facing. So there's a number of options. That's one of the goals. We want this to be something that's constantly used for testing, because that's really what the most important thing is for node runners when they're looking to deploy in different areas, is they need to be able to know what their distance latency is and then what their infrastructure latency is. So that's what this does.
This is Brian. Let me add in as well. Like Shane
You're
said,
a bit muffled on my end.
Weird. All right. Can you hear me now?
Better now. Better now, yeah.
All right. Yeah. I started on my phone, but I couldn't move to computer because then I'd lose my spot in the call. So I'm sitting here. All right. What I'm saying, Shane said that, like I said, ours is deployed on AWS Lambda right now. But of course, you could run this anywhere, so you could have it completely local on your machine, testing, local host addresses, with your Pocket ports, your Pocket nodes, rather than doing them publicly at all. So, yeah, that's the goal. That it's just a tool that you can use anywhere, And then once we get actually the PoKT Lint, we could put the whole UI inside of a Docker image as well, so you could run it on your local machine, and yeah, all sorts of fun stuff. Yep, sky's the limit.
So speaking of the limit, there's another question here. Will it be possible to send batches of relays, like 1,000 or 10,000 relays, in order to also test the power of the server?
Oh, that's absolutely possible. We actually put in a sample, a sampler, so you can actually choose how many relays are sent. So you could actually increase that, and it would probably take some more designing to get to that level to where it's also a stress test. But that's very, very, very much possible, and we could actually put that potentially as one of the scope that out and maybe have that be something that would be a part of the proposal itself.
Yeah, and the current sample length is 5. If you hold your cursor over any of the results, it'll tell you the default sample size is 5. So it does 5 requests, and it gathers the information from those 5. It gives you the average, the minimum, and the max. But then if you actually use the API directly, then you get the full information, the amount of, each of the different 5 times or 1,000 times or however many you want. How long it took.
We have another question. Does doing a simulate relay affect you with the cherry picker? Meaning, and this might be a question for some of the core engineers. Meaning, if you put the node in simulate relay to test the node and then turn it off, am I now at the back of the queue with the cherry picker? My understanding is that is no, because it's not the portal that will be sending the relays, it's POKT Lint, but someone can feel free to correct me if I'm wrong there.
Yeah, my understanding is no. The only requirement here is that you do restart your node. Now, restarting your node can take 15, 20 minutes to warm up. So you are losing that little bit amount of time. But the cherry picker doesn't have, it's not like a blacklist per se. It judges everything per session. So, like that specific session time period, and actually, I believe it tests every 5 minutes as well. So even inside of a session, you don't get like banned from a session or anything. Every 5 minutes, it'll say, "Oh, okay, this node isn't worth sending any relays to," and so it doesn't. I believe that's how it works. Alex can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm very sure that's how it works. But in terms of also when you turn on simulate relays, you can still serve normal sessions. You're still part of the Pocket network. It's just that simulate relays means that your node can receive Pocket calls outside of the network for testing. But you're still part of sessions. You're still inside sessions. So if you turn a node to simulate relays for an hour as you're testing a bunch of stuff, your node, once it's up and running and warmed up, it's still able to serve relays just as if it was turned off. Now, you don't want to leave simulate relays on, but you just want it for when you're testing. But Alex?
Yeah, Shane's right. It is every 5 minutes you get re-included back into the session. I would just advise not restarting your node at all while you're actively in a session. It's not great for network traffic, and it's not great for your node or your rewards. You can pretty easily tell when your node is in a session just by watching the CPU usage. Normal Pocket Core CPU usage, when it's not processing a block, is really, really low. When you're in a session, it's using usually 2 to 4 CPUs. So you can see that. And if you see your CPU usage is high, just wait for the next hour to roll over, not to be in a session, to do the restart.
Some great insight there. And also, if you are interested in these topics, I advise reading through the community call QA channel. There's been a few back and forth there with more details as well for optimizing your rewards. I don't believe we have any more questions for POKT Lint, but someone is typing, so we'll give it a second.
Yeah, I will say, go for it. Go for it, Ryan.
I was going to say, just wanted to point out the back end as well as the front end are both open source for this, just for anyone curious. Node Pilot, currently the front end isn't, but of course this is completely open. The back end, which can be run on, it's written in Go, made by No Problem, which can be run in Lambda or anywhere. And then the front end written in TypeScript and React. So that'll be in the decentralized authority GitHub very soon, as in within the next couple days.
And just so people understand, why is it called Pocket Lint? Lint, or a linter, is a static code analysis tool used to flag programming errors, bugs, stylistic errors, or suspicious constructions. So anyways, so that's just a little pun play on what lint is used in the dev world as Pocket Lint, because we're analyzing and testing nodes. So that's the reason for Lint.
And I suppose you'll be getting some Pocket change once you've submitted a proposal. So I think we're good on POKT Lint Q&A. Feel free, Shane, to post a bunch of links in the community call QA channel for anyone who wants to dive deeper into Node Pilot, POKT Lint, or any of the related open source documentation.
Awesome. Well, thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Shane. Okay, we have one more topic. We are way over time, but that's all good. You can stay on longer if you want. The last topic is PokketBot, which a node monitoring Telegram bot that is currently has a proposal up to get a grant from the DAO. So, come on up, guys. Lucky Luke and DPWN, I believe, for PocketBot. Should be able to unmute. Oh, yeah, I can hear you now. DP. What is with this server mute? That's really weird. Okay, yeah, you should both be able to speak now.
Oh, could you hear me?
Yep, can hear you.
Hello?
Nice.
Hello, can you hear me too?
Yep, can hear you both.
Okay, fine. All right, hello everybody. We are Luis and Ivan. We are simply node runners that we realized that we are in a need for some tool, some kind of tool to understand what was going on in our nodes at any time. So we started with a small proof of concept some months ago that we realized that it could have potential for everyone to check what's going on in their servers, in their nodes. So this tool is a Telegram bot. Okay, well, the purpose of this tool is to track the nodes rewards if you are staking some pockets, or even to know what's going on in case there is an error in your node, to get a notification. So since you are, everyone has a phone in the pocket usually, so they can actually know with a notification if something is going on. So that's why we started to develop this tool, and we realized that, okay, why not share it with the community? And that's why we created this repository. I'm going to show my screen. Is everyone able to see my screen?
Yes.
Yep, you're good.
Okay, fine. Here you can see that you can track your progress of the bot, and what you can expect from this bot is to monitor the errors that usually nodes can provide, or even know what is some statistics about the rewards you're having in your nodes. For example, the pockets on average you have every day, or even the month. Then you can even create some reports that you can use for taxing purposes. Right now it's in experimental status, but the bot is already working. There are people actually using it, and we are open for any kind of proposal we can drive for development in any way. And even if someone finds any issue, you can just plot it
For
here.
example, even one of our idea was divide the provisions between two two major roles, investor and admins, because we know that some people are investing in nodes, but in the next phases, administrator maybe can take actions over the node, and don't have sense that the investor without any knowledge have this control over the node. For example, restart the node or share rewards to a cool wallet. And for this reason, we divide these permissions between two roles.
Right. We are going to see the bot in action. Let me clear the history. Okay. First thing, this is the first endpoint the bot have. Here, right now I have the admin role. The investor role will only have access to the stats option. So we're going to see what the stats option do. In this case, it is tracking up to right now 6 nodes, but you can see in the history that it has been tracking less nodes in the past. And what it does is it computes the average node rewards on the nodes that are currently running, but also are already stuck in are in a staking process, or in a staking state. Moreover, in the balances, it gives you options to download this information. For example, let's get an Excel file with all the information. So here you have all the transactions that your nodes have been doing since the beginning, and the bot does in the background. In the background, it matches the pockets with the historic price. So it checks for this in the CoinGecko API right now, but we are planning to maybe add more backends for that. But internally, the bot has a database with all the transactions matching prices. Okay, so you can use this information to track for taxing purposes. Then more options, as it was said before, we can control investors. If in our nodes we want to, someone wants to make an investment by staking, we can add their ID here, and then this person can access the bot and track this information in real time, so he can see how goes his investment. Right now, this is the bot. The instructions, we have developed extensive documentation on how to install it, and we provide a Docker image, so it is easy to install in any environment. Even you can build it from scratch, and we also provide instructions for that. And the bot, every aspect in the bot is configurable right now. Okay, there are a lot of options you can configure. So even the errors you want to be notified, you can put some rules, and you get notified in the phone as soon as an error is detected in the node. And that's everything we have regarding this bot.
Yes, we have a lot of ideas for the next phases, and we are really open to hear your opinions about the next steps in the bot, because for us it's very important. For us, this tool is very useful in our day work, but also to have more ideas could be very useful.
Thanks, guys. Let's see if we have any questions. So in the community call QA text chat, remember to post your question there. We have one question here. How is the reward data being pulled? Are you using a PoktBot tools deployment?
So right now the bot is pulling this information at a constant rate that is configurable, and it is using the PocketScan API right now. But we are planning to move that maybe in the future to have our own nodes, perhaps.
Yes, our idea in the second phase is to create a public bot with our own nodes to provide queries to this information. And in the second phase is easier to people than don't want to deploy his own bot, only register in a public bot and query for their nodes.
Okay, any other questions? Don't believe we have any more questions.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
There we go. Okay, so no more. We have a comment here. Alex is going to be trying out PokketBot. Yeah, great work there. Great work.
Thank you very much.
And yeah, if you're a voter in the DAO, their PokketBot is currently up for voting now on rewards. And yet, PocketBot guys, could you post a link to the repo in the community call channel? That's community call QA as well. But yeah, there's no more questions about that. I think we're done. Way over time, but that was some really, those were some really awesome updates. Okay, thanks everyone for joining. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. Likewise.